which are used. And for example, uh, so in web security, as we said that the secure socket layer is the layer that is working at the transport layer to provide the security to the data. So whenever we are going to use that protocol to provide the security to the data, so it consists of number of you can say protocols at this layer, like for example SSL handshake protocol, SSL chain cipher spec protocol, and SSL alert protocol and SSL record protocol. So these are the different protocols which are used to provide the security at this layer. For example, we have number of sessions are created. Like for example, whenever any data is sent it from client to server, so there's a client will make a connection to the server, and once they are connected with each other, so then they can be able to exchange different messages. So different messages are being exchanged with the protocol that is actually called as a handshake protocol, which is used to exchange different messages between client and server. And there are also some encryption methods are applied on these messages so that the intruder or an attacker cannot get those messages. And then we have it's possible that there could be a single connection or multiple connections between client and server, because it's possible you can access many websites at a time, or maybe many applications web applications at a time. Then you need to do multiple connections. And then we as you know that there's a client server model, and there's also a peer-to-peer model. Peer-to-peer model is between the same systems which is having the same features, so that is called as a peer-to-peer model. And so uh, when we say that this is actually uh, a, a type of protocol which is used between the client and server. So here are a number of methods which are used, like for example, DAs for providing the confidentiality and integrity to the data. We are using this protocol, and whenever we provide the confidentiality, so we are actually using we are using different algorithms for that, for semantic encryption and for asymmetric encryption. Okay, so we are using the record protocol, which provides the encryption to the data, and which also provides a hash function or integrity to the data using hash function and message authentication code. So if you say that if it's providing this confidentiality to the data, it is provided through a DS algorithm, 3DS algorithm. And when we say that it is providing or some other algorithms which are used here, and if we say that it provides the integrity to the data, that is actually using some make algorithm and HMake algorithm. So make message authentication code is created, as you know that from data. When it is applied on the data, it creates a make code from that, or hash value from that. So when it is received by the receiver, so it matches that with the original message that has been received. If it is the same, then that means it is actually, we say that the data is not being changed or data is not being modified. So in this way, the SSL record protocol provides the confidentiality and message integrity to the data. And for example, we have some other protocol that is used, that is called as SSL chain cipher speak protocol, which is used to say about the state of the different messages are being exchanged in the handshake protocol. So if they are the messages, all the messages are being sent. It states zero for that. If they are the messages are still in pending state, it says a one for that. So in this way, it provides the state of the messages which are being sent between sender and the receiver. For example, we have some other protocol which is used to notify, which is used to provide notification to the user or to the system. For example, here it depends on the type of you can say error or type of damage occurring in the system. So it provides the information according to that. For example, it could be a severe damage to the system, or it could be any error in the system or any application. So it will be notified according to that. For example, if it is a severe damage to the system, then that is called the, we can say, fatal error of some warning. So that would be given to the user about something happens in the system. And then there are different other messages which are being exchanged, which are being given, uh, which are being informed to the, you can say, different users, different systems about them. Like for example, unexpected message, wait record make, decompression failure, handshake failure, illegal parameter, and some notifications related to the certificate which is used to authorize the user. And when it is used to authorize user, which is for example, you can use a public key or private key to authenticate a user, either that is a legitimate user or not. So that is the notification using such kind of data. So if any certificate it expires or its time runs out, so it will be renewed or revoked, or renewed or reissued, for example. So in this way, so these are the different notifications which are different alerts which are given to the different users or different systems whenever uh, to the system whenever any error occur, and any damage is happening in the system. So that would be notified, or that would be informed to the system, or that would be given information to the system about that error, that you can say uh, any damage to the system. So as I told you that there's before sending the data between the client and server, so clients and server, they make a connection to each other and they authenticate each other. For example, client authenticates server and server authenticates the client. So there are a number of different messages are being exchanged between client and server. So they are used in a protocol like handshake protocol, where they authenticate each other, and they also use encryption and hash function to apply integrity to the data. And whenever they exchange different messages, for example, the keys which are used to authenticate each other. So for that, they are the different phases are used, like establish security capability, server authentication and key exchange, client authentication and key exchange. So these are the different, you can say, actually uh, by default. if we are using any web application, so in the web application, if any data is being received from the web, if any data is sent it by the client to the server for authentication, for example. So it uses this protocol, and whenever it uses this protocol, it provides the security to the data, it provides authentication to the data, and it provides some other functions like encryption to the data or hashing to the data. And then we have uh, some other type of like how can we explain about the handshake protocol, so how it can be explained. So with this figure we can further explain about this secure socket layer handshake protocol. Like for example, as you can see here, there's a client and there's a server. They are exchanging different messages to each other. When they exchange different messages to each other, uh, actually actually when we are saying this, uh, any data that is being exchanged between the client and the server, so then we are using uh, some methods to provide the security to the data. So the data which is being exchanged between the client and server, so it contains different protocols to provide like hashing, or to provide like encryption, and the different protocols as we discussed on in the secure socket layer, where different functions are provided. So these different functions which are provided at this layer, which are providing you can say integrity to the data, which are providing encryption to the data. So whenever any client or any web server, they exchange different messages with each other. So the transport layer on their systems, they actually they will encrypt the data, and they will when they encrypt the data, they will also you can say using these different functions, they can encrypt and the data, and at the receiver end that would be decrypted. Or for example, some hash function is applied. Actually, we say that some of the functions which are given by the web application itself, and some of the function we can provide, we can aid to the web application to aid the further security to the data.